Hey guys, Fletch here, bringing you another Fletch Talks video, and this video is going to be concerning because we have to talk about it following the events that took place this weekend. We have to talk about the handball rule, the FA, IFAB, and everyone and everything in between because we just have to. It's become that big of an issue. But before we move any further, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Both things will always be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get on to talking about this huge issue that developed over the weekend in the world of football. We're only 2 to 3 games into the brand new season, and it seems that we have a new part of the game to moan at. But this one seems to be with very good reason. Last season we moaned about VAR. This season it seems we're going to be moaning and complaining about the new handball rule. This is a rule that honestly has needed some clearing up for some time. It's a rule that suffers with a lot of grey areas. When you look at this type of incident, there are many things and factors that need to be taken under consideration as to whether or not a handball incident has occurred. Whether it be deflections, hand positioning, body positioning, and how close the guilty party was to the ball at the time. By letter of the law, the ruling of the handball decision is as follows. A foul will be awarded if the ball hits a player who has made themselves unnaturally bigger with their arm. And this past weekend alone, there were 2 incidents that have heavily put this rule into the spotlight. And it's safe to say that unless you're an Everton or Newcastle fan, you're not exactly happy that this rule has been enforced in the way that it was. And if you're going further back, last week Manchester United suffered harshly from the rule in their game against Crystal Palace, and even on the opening day of the new season there was a penalty incident in Liverpool and Leeds game which many said was quite debatable. This past weekend though, the incidents that left many baffled and angry over the ruling occurred in the Crystal Palace versus Everton game and the Newcastle-Tottenham game. The first incident saw Lucas Digne's header hit the hand of Joel Ward, but not only did he seem very close to the Everton left back at the time, but his hand didn't seem to be in a very unnatural position. The second incident saw Andy Carroll's header hit the back of Eric Dyer's arm, but again the replays show that not only was Dyer close to Carroll at the time, but also he had no control over his arm movement due to jumping for the ball, and you cannot jump with your arms by your side. It's just unnatural that way. Either way, both incidents were given as penalties. For Everton, it was a penalty that helped them win all 3 points after it was scored, whilst for Newcastle, it was a penalty that they managed to convert and helped them steal a point against Jose Mourinho's Tottenham, much to Mourinho's dismay as he stormed off down the tunnel once the penalty was given and scored. Both penalty decisions were so incredibly harsh, but by letter of the law, you can argue that they had a right to be given. However, the rules are so harsh and they're so cruel on those they penalise that some are saying the game is dead and the game is gone. Jamie Carragher was on commentary for the Spurs game at the time and he even called it a joke. He said that the people in charge and those creating these rules are ruining football. And honestly, with a rule that is this stupid and this harsh, it's hard to disagree with him. So, who exactly is to blame here? We all like to play the blame game, we all like to point the finger. Who exactly is to blame? Well, the scapegoat appears to be the referees on the pitch. Look, it's no secret that English referees aren't the best. You look back within the past year alone, there have been a number of debatable incidents and events that referees have been the centre of, and most of the time they haven't come out smelling of roses. They haven't come out of it looking in any way competent or with the support that they made the right decision. But with the introduction of VAR last season and the encouragement of them actually going over to the pitch side monitor to make the decisions themselves and take that responsibility, slowly but surely this area of the game is ironing itself out. It won't ever be perfect, of course not, but it's slowly getting better. But in saying that, it's taking that responsibility for decisions that cause many to point the finger at them, when in fact you could point the finger at the FA. There has to be some communication from them with these laws, and there's very little communication from them on these types of issues. And for that, they need to take part of the blame here too. But if you go further beyond them, you will find the real culprit here. The culprit and the blame should be placed on IFAB here, the International Football Association Board, the makers, the creators and the guardians of the laws of the game. A nameless, faceless organisation which hides behind other governing bodies and referees whenever things like this happen. They've created this law in order to make referees' games easier, when in reality the referees should be the least important person to consider when writing these types of laws. And this law in particular is currently causing the most uproar right now. The letter of the law seems to have been written by someone who's not played football in their lives, regardless of the level of play. There's little to no consideration to any of the factors I talked about earlier that you need to take into account for why an incident like this is or isn't handball, and it's punishing teams in the harshest way possible. And they need to look at this and rectify it as soon as possible. We had an entire year of VAR not being used to the best of its ability, and now we have a law that's being enforced in the cruelest of ways. It begs the question whether they love to stir up controversy for fun or not. But because there seems to be no clear and obvious representation out there, no spokesperson or representative ever present in the public eye, they're just this faceless organisation that will continue to create this mess, and it will take people of some power to take a stand against it. And by that, of course, I mean players and managers of various teams, clubs, or even all of them all together taking a stand. Either way, the law needs to be looked at and changed to consider the other factors in play for when an incident like this occurs, and it needs to happen as soon as possible before it affects a lot more clubs and goes further down the line where these types of incidents are deciding huge games, relegation fates, Champions League places, other domestic or European trophies, or even league titles. Let's be real. I think honestly you'll never get this rule to be 100% crystal clear. This will certainly be the one rule that certain incidents of this nature will be open for debate. It's rare that you get a very clear-cut handball call, but if this continues the way that it is, there's going to be a number of incidents down the line where teams are losing or gaining points through a very stupid, very cruel and extremely harsh ruling of a law that needs to be changed due to how easy it can be deployed within a game. But of course, this is just one man's thoughts and one man's opinions on this particular topic. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of both incidents that took place over the weekend? What do you make of the law as a whole? Do you think it needs changing? Who do you think is really to blame here? Let me know your thoughts, your comments and opinions all down below in the comment section. They will make for great reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things would be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will soon speak with you all again soon in another video.